countdown is on to October 5th, 2021, when strict new design and distribution obligations, known as DDO, will come into effect in Australia, significantly changing how financial services organizations distribute and market products. Technology provider Iress has been working with clients from across the financial services spectrum to understand how DDO will impact them, as well as creating a first-of-its-kind blockchain-based solution for complying with the new legislation. Well, here today to discuss further is Iress's Chief Commercial Officer, Michael Bloomfeld. Michael, welcome. Just briefly, for those who still may not be clear, what is DDO? Who does it impact?
Yeah, thanks, Nadine. It's hard enough to introduce, isn't it? Let alone to understand, right? So the design and distribution obligations that come into effect on the 5th of October have a really wide effect on the industry. Let's work it through. First and foremost, right? At its core, this is really about making product providers be clear about who are their products designed for, and then making it clear for product distributors, who, largely financial planners, largely, but not exclusively, who are they selling a product to, and are they the right people? Are they the people that the product was designed for? So was it designed and distributed to the right people under the terms of the product's purpose? And each of those parties have to do certain things, and very importantly, have to record the fact of those things. And each of those parties then has to be aware of each other and be communicating with each other in some way to record the fact of those things and be able to evidence compliance. How's that sound?
Yeah, it sounds good. You've also said that DDO is one of the most significant changes the industry has faced in recent years. So what makes you say that?
Well, because of exactly this phenomenon, that you've now got multiple parts of the value chain of wealth management, from the product manufacturer to the distributor of it, to in fact the platform where that product might sit, all the way through to the consumer. And in the middle of that, you can have a platform that is the manufacturer of a product that is made up of a multiple of products that are manufactured by other manufacturers that have to all be tied into a TMD and communicated. And so that interconnectivity is, and by the way, we're talking about insurance here as well. We're potentially talking about term deposits via banks here as well. That is the biggest, widest, most interconnected set of needs that has ever actually been imposed on the industry. And it needs a singular solution. And that's why I talk about it all the time as being really complex and perhaps bigger and harder than a lot of people have understood.
Okay, so then why has Iress put itself in the middle of all of that complexity by creating its DDO solution?
Well, look, it's completely in line with our strategy as an organisation to power the industry by way of infrastructure. Yeah, so we talk about investment infrastructure to the marketplace and through our strategy, and this is a place where you've got two choices. That essentially, participant by participant, company by company, this industry can try and solve this problem in bilateral ways, by communication means from point A to point B. You might even be able to create a database of something like target market definitions, the TMDs, that everybody can see. But if you're not communicating and storing and reporting on the fact that they saw it, that it was current, that it was appropriate for the client, that all these things, all these pieces of information, unless you get that right in one place, then we're just going to spin this thing out of control. It's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. It's going to serve no good purpose. And it's going to make the end product, which is financial advice, more expensive. And it's too expensive now. And all parts of this industry want to lower the cost of advice and make more Australians able to get more advice. And that's our mission, essentially, as a financial services technology provider, is to make the technology of financial services essentially lovable, capable of being loved. Think about it that way.
So, Michael, how does the Iris solution support product issuers and get a bit of that love?
Yeah, well, so product issuers, they don't just have to create TMDs, they have to make them available. And when you make them available, you have to make them available to a vast array of people. You know, there are the order of 15,000 financial advisors in Australia, for example. How do you make that available to all those people? Well, what we're providing is a central point where the TMDs can be issued, stored, maintained, monitored, reported on, kept current in a singular place. Now, when you do that, that means that all of the parties, the rest of the parties in the industry, can come to that one place, can interact it in a singular way, and in an open architected way, by the way, but they can interact in a singular way and allow product issuers to meet that TMD obligation in a really simple and essentially scalable way. And that is a hell of a lot better than the alternative of trying to manage bilaterally with every single one of those parties in what can only in the end be a mess.
And specifically, what about product distributors? How does this address some of their needs?
Yeah, what you think about for someone like a financial planner, if they're going to give advice to a client, and a client's going to have a reasonable sum of money, right? They're going to have multiple products. And I think it's fair to say that a statement of advice for a typical Australian under advice might have 10 to 20 products within it. So absent this solution, a distributor, a financial planner, and the licensee have got to go manufacturer by manufacturer, product by product, checking each line item off, potentially in a different place per product manufacturer. If there's 6 product manufacturers, they have to go to 6 places to check 20 TMDs. And so we're making it much, much simpler by both having this at the core and by integrating it natively to Xplan. And so via the advice process in Xplan, planners can simply go through that process. The TMD becomes relevant, it becomes checked, and we just keep going rather than having to step out, potentially swivel screen to a whole other system, and then come back all over again.
Now, you mentioned blockchain there, so the solution underpinned by blockchain technology. What's the advantage in simple terms? And I suppose blockchain can be intimidating to some. Do you think users need to understand blockchain to be able to use it?
Yeah, well, let me go in reverse. Nobody who uses this system needs to know how to use blockchain. And let's be honest, it would be crazy if they had to. So via Xplan, all the things related to blockchain just happen. At the product manufacturer side, there are ways via bots, via Outlook, via all sorts of if you like, native methods that people will interact with the blockchain in the same way that they really interact, say, with an email system. It won't feel any different. So no special requirements there. But why blockchain then? Well, blockchain is uniquely suited to this moment because blockchain as a distributed ledger that allows multiple participants to be participating around a singular, though distributed, set of data. It allows us to create a single, immutable, exposed set of data that all parties can interact with without having to break up copies to hold in one place and the other and the next. It allows them to report singly from that space. It allows, an industry standard, non-proprietary communications network to be stood up. And that, at the end of the day, is exactly what the DDO regulation requires, which is for all of the parties in the industry to be able to talk to each other and to evidence the talking to each other and be able to report on that down the track.
Good. So what's the response been like from the industry so far?
That's been really good. I have to say, this has been an amazing project because I think that at the start there was a lot of holy cow, what's the blockchain got to do with this? But with a few weeks to go before the regulation kicks in, We've got, I think, in the order of 75 different fund managers who are on our system. We've got 4 other platforms currently. We've got 8 insurers, a bunch of ETF providers, super funds. We've got more than 1,500 TMDs in the system today, and this is weeks before the obligation to have them there exists. So we think that that we've managed to solve this. I should also say, Nadine, that we've built this in a way that is truly open architecture. So you don't have to be an Xplan client, an Iress client at the get-go to be able to use this system. If a piece of advice software who might be called a competitor of ours wants to interact with this solution, we've made that entirely possible. We're really genuinely trying to solve for the whole of the industry here. And I think we're having, with a few weeks to go, we're looking in really great shape to solve a really complex problem in what in the end will look like a simple way for the industry.
Okay, now I mentioned off the top that the clock is counting down to the 5th of October. What can people do if they haven't got a solution in place yet? Is there still time to make that deadline?
You'd want to move quick. I think what I would say is if anyone's not on a path or thinks maybe they're not on the right path, then really get in touch. Yeah, our people at Iress can work with anyone who calls to talk to them about how what we're doing works, how to implement it quickly, how to make it work within their business, whichever kind of business theirs is. But it's 3 weeks to go. I think it's tight, and this is a really serious set of obligations that are coming into effect with very significant fines for parties who don't do this properly. And so get your skates on would be my advice.
All right. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Nadine. Pleasure.
Michael Blumfeld from Iress there. And if you'd like more information on the Iress DDO solution, including how Iress's team of experts can help you get ready for October 5th, just head to iress.com/DDO.